just 2 years old, and it was run by a group of fresh graduates straight out of campus. And on the eve of the launch, a day before the launch, we did not have any money on the account for the manifesto. We just had a free venue at Kololo because government had given us that venue free of charge, and we were sure that we were going to fail because everything at that time was very chaotic. And I remember that night we had a meeting. I remember vividly, Primus was part of that meeting. It was convened by the Green Light Movement, a group of youth-led CSOs. We convened and we were asking ourselves, guys, why don't we just tomorrow release a press conference and say that this manifesto is not happening, it's not there at all. You know, that was the thinking at that time. But I'm happy to report that in that meeting, because of the togetherness and the collaboration and what transpired, each of us had something to put in a basket. And at the end of the day, we were able to launch the first manifesto in 2011. So 15 years down the road, it's been the same story. I remember when I heard Trump make that mention of closing USAID. I had a newspaper article that was launched, that was advertising some youth positions that AYDL had put out to manage this program. And I was thinking, how are we going to be able to make this? And at the back of that, the DGF had also just closed a few months down the road. And I was thinking, we've had this chance to have the biggest project, youth election project, this year. And still, even as we are thinking about that, now it has been closed. How are we going to move forward? Then so many other donors started releasing statements and papers where they're changing priorities. They're saying, now you see, as the EU, we are now thinking, this is what we want. As the, you know, all these different donors, we are now shifting priorities. That's the word they use, the technical word. And I was thinking, how are we now going to make it as youth organizations running the manifesto? And how have we been able to make it? And I'm happy to report that just like what happened in that meeting in 2011, it's the same thing that happened this time around. It's been about togetherness, it's been about collaboration, and it's the same thing that we've done this year to make sure that we have this manifesto launch here today. So as the world moves into mass digitalization, and as intelligence becomes accessible and free to everyone, it only makes us young people and it only positions us to be the strongest constituency in the country. And today I'm happy that we are launching this National Youth Manifesto as a vision for young people, which is very ambitious and that is going to take us forward up to 2020, up to 2031. And in this manifesto, the youth have a clear blueprint of what they want and how they want it. And for me, I summarize it in just one statement, which is, if you read the manifesto, it's about no decisions about us without us. And that is the core message that the manifesto is saying. At Open Space, we are focusing our work on delivering education support services for youth. And that's what, for us, our call in this manifesto is about. And when we talk about education support services, we are thinking about debate skills, we are thinking about civic engagement skills, we are thinking about the teachers who are supporting students in schools, we are thinking about STEM learning, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and how we support youth to be able to deliver this. We've been able to support this Youth Manifesto process through a program that we run with the UK8 and British High Commission, which is called Strengthening Youth Participation. And through this program, we've been able to support the Youth Manifesto process launch here today and other processes. And as we move further, we are also going to be able to run a number of campaigns where we are going to be talking about how young people can participate in these elections. I'm also happy to report that we are officially accredited by the Electoral Commission to deliver voter education in this electoral process. It's also been a process that was really hard, but luckily for us and the consistency that we've been able to put to it, we've been accredited to do this. We also launched a research on youth participation in election, which was the first of its kind. It's accessible on our website, openspaceyouth.org, so you can access the research that talks about youth participation, mainly reviewing previous elections and what we anticipate for this upcoming election. So as I close, I want to call on First Youth Organization that right now there's a call to adventure, a call for us to reimagine the way things are done and think about sustainability and stopping to think about these things that we've been used to, where you're engaged in proposal writing, you're engaged in the donor, and you take a lot of time in that process. The call now is about sustainability, it's about digitalization, it's about business, you know. These are the things that we should be talking about. It's about artificial intelligence, and this is the call that I want other youth organizations to also take up, and it's the only way that we are going to survive this chaos that we are in at the moment. To the youth, I call on you to use this manifesto to engage your candidates and politicians. I know that as the candidates come, they usually carry their sacks. But as the candidate is coming with a sack, just ask your president, your member of parliament, and your councillor, what is your plan on the power of the digital generation, on powering the digital generation? What's your plan on expanding youth voices? What's your plan on accessing jobs? Many of these roles are not direct the ones to generate the jobs. It's not your member of parliament who is going to bring the job to you, but your member of parliament is going to be in parliament to advocate for that. So you ask them, what is their plan? What do they have, you know, in relation to that? And this is what the manifesto is providing with you, a foundation on which you can ask key questions to the key politicians and candidates that are standing. So I would like to end with a special thanks to the core team of activists that have been on this journey all the way from 2011. Chris here, Martin, Primus, many of the others are not even in the room, but for all those who are in the room, I would like to thank you very much for the commitment you've shown, for the ideas you've provided, and for all the support that you've been able to give to this process. Also to my team at Open Space Center, I would like to thank you for the organizing that you've done here today and for all that you've put in. I would also go further to thank British High Commission for the support that they've given us. I think you've seen there's no logo here that is put of British High Commission. It's intentional, because when we talked to the donor, we said we don't want these issues of putting logos everywhere, because the core thing is about the work that we do. It's about the manifesto that we are launching. It's not about the logo of the British High Commission being on top of that. And those are the kind of discussions that we are having now with donors. So to all youth leaders and all youth who are present here today, and all those who have attended this event here today, I would like to thank you for taking off the time to be here with us, and let the work begin. Thank you very much.
Where we are launching the National Youth Manifesto 2026, 2021, after 2031, I think. I want to greet you all. Good morning. Okay.
Well, good morning, sir. We're just having breakfast.
Okay. I'm concerned that the breakfast is interfering with the energy in the room. But nonetheless, I hope that the subsequent speaker will receive a much, better energy. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, or even as my colleague has mentioned previously, today marks a landmark moment where we come together to launch this edition, which is the 4th edition of the National Youth Manifesto, which will take us through 2026 to the year 2031. And as we launch this manifesto, I want to draw your attention to the fact that this is not just a document we are launching. It is an agenda for young people to effect what they have yearned for always, and that is youth-led accountability. It's a framework with which we intend to hold our leaders accountable for the rights, obligations, and decisions that they are supposed to make or not to make on our behalf. I want to emphasize the fact that this process is a culmination of collective effort, especially of the young people, but also of the different actors who, thought it important to support this process, even in the midst of the most difficult circumstances where donor aid or development support is shifting significantly. We encountered challenges along the way where some of the resources that were earmarked for this process were unceremoniously withdrawn for reasons beyond our control, but and that for a brief instant gave us a worry. We thought that probably this might not be, it might not come to fruition, but I want to take this opportunity to thank the different stakeholders, as I will mention down below, who made it a point to make sure that they support us in ensuring that this manifesto becomes a reality. Most of all, I want to thank, I'll save the best for the last, but first of all, I want to thank our technical lead, or the technical consultant, that is Mr. Prosper Mbanjizi, who worked tirelessly together with the team to make sure that this document or this framework that we are launching today becomes the reality that it is. Without his support and those around him, I don't think we would be able to have the beautiful manifesto that we're going to launch today. I also want to take the opportunity to thank the partners that supported us, especially financially, but also technically. Chief among whom was the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy, who was very instrumental, especially at the consultative stage, but also all throughout the process, because they single-handedly supported the facilitation that went to the consultant, and also supported in providing the platform with which to engage with the political parties and different shapes of young people through the Multi-Party Youth Forum and also the UNICEF Youth Speak platform. The European Union, through the Uganda National Farmers Federation, were also key in supporting us to make sure that this happens the way it has. The National Youth Council, I already mentioned UNICEF, the American Center, who supported us to do the thematic consultations with key experts on those things. The partners of the other partners of the Uganda National Young Farmers Federation, who worked closely with them, majorly Wadenda, Soruda, Tunado, and the like. I want to emphasize that your support is deeply appreciated. Prospect Initiative, formerly known as Uganda Muslim Youth Development Forum, the Youth Tax Justice Network, Teens Uganda, Open Space Center, of course, that have supported us also every step of the way, and they have been instrumental in making the resources for the launch available on top of the other partners as well. The members of the Youth Coalition on Electoral Democracy in Uganda, YCED, which we have the privilege of hosting and coordinating. We want to take this opportunity to thank you for supporting this process in your respective structures and spaces across the country, making it possible for us to be able to pick what we're able to. Action Aid Uganda and Uganda National Parliamentary Forum for Youth Affairs, the National Secretary for Special Interest Groups, all these people have been very instrumental in supporting us and helping us to make sure that the work that we do in making this manifesto a reality gets done. I want to take the opportunity to also thank the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, especially the Department of Youth and Children's Affairs, who have also been very instrumental in supporting this process and are committed to working with us going forward to make sure that the issues and the concerns that we espouse in this document are availed to the decision makers in the different government spaces. So, ladies and gentlemen, even as I close, as we look ahead, I know Ashraf is itching to use the machine that he said. Just 1 minute, Ashraf. Even as we look ahead, I want to welcome all of us that by emphasizing that today marks the launch, but it doesn't mark the end. If anything, it marks the beginning of the actual work that has to be done. Because the manifesto, it is one thing us agreeing on the demands in the manifesto, but it is much more important for us to ensure that the issues actually get worked on, and the young people are able to get to realize the demands that they demanded for. So I want to welcome you to support the various efforts of disseminating the manifesto beyond the launch, engaging with political parties and candidates and governments, MDAs, and also monitoring the implementation. After this, the next process will also include the development of the joint youth legislative agenda, through which we're able to get the issues of the manifesto onto the floor of Parliament. The various parties or actors that are supposed to help us with this, I want to draw you to, again, not stop here, but continue supporting us and even add more effort to make sure that that happens. Because like I mentioned, I want to re-emphasize that the manifesto is only effective, only useful and meaningful if it goes beyond the shelves and gets implemented. With those few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I want to warmly welcome you to this event and wish you a fruitful event. Thank you.
Join me to appreciate Mr. Martin Waza for what he called a few remarks. Please give it up for Mr. Martin Waza. He died into the relevance of the manifesto, the significance and the timing. You get it? Now I'm worried for Mr. Wakil Munya and the Primas Mahidi here. I'm wondering and asking what you're going to say. The other one is about your time now, because he took much of your time. And I'm not blaming him because it's my blame boss anyway. So at this moment, ladies and gentlemen, it is so hard to now invite your leader. Use as much time as you want to give opening remarks on behalf of the speech. You never know because the man is ending. I don't want to miss. Wakim, use as much time as you want.
Thank you very much, Ashraf. Yes.